two zombie maps. Two zombie maps dropped alongside the debut of Call of Duty Black Ops on November 9th, 2010. Last week, I went over the widely regarded and loved Kino der Toten, but now it's time to shine a spotlight on its less popular little brother, 5. Kino der Toten was originally planned to be a World at War Zombies map, but it was later shelved for Black Ops. 5, however, is a Black Ops zombie map through and through. It was conceptualized and planned with the Black Ops time period and weaponry heavily in mind. Now, the special thing about this map is everything I've talked about, Nacht, Verrückt, Shino, Deris, and Kino are all heavily remembered either because of quality or the heavy contributions they made to the series. But our streak ends with 5. Yep, everyone remembers 5 for the most part, but no one ever talks about it. Why is that? Is it because this map sucks, or is it highly underrated? Well, depending on who you ask, you can very well receive both answers. And I'm here to give mine. I've had a very strained relationship with 5, going from either appreciating it to downright hating it. So this should be a pretty interesting discussion. Without further ado, let's talk about 5. Now, if you've played the campaign of Call of Duty Black Ops, which might I add is amazing, then you should be very familiar with 5's layout. That's because the area is literally ripped from the campaign mission USDD, where you explore the US Pentagon and have a meeting with the one and only John F. Kennedy. Now, pretty much every zombies map up until this point has reused both assets and even areas from campaign, but those maps often transform the area in a unique way to fit zombies. Not in this case. No, when I say they ripped the area from campaign, I mean they literally just made the entire area a zombies map with some teleporters thrown in. And this becomes especially apparent when you realize the layout to this map is way too tight for zombies. Pretty much in every room you go, you'll be cornered easily. And I'm not just talking about high rounds. No, the tight halls of the Pentagon just do not work when it comes to mobility. There is one area where you can somewhat train, and that's the second floor of the building. But it's not even just about training. If you're moving around on the first or third floor on later rounds, you will be surrounded and cut off within seconds. I'd like to pretend this was some creative decision by Treyarch to encourage the player to try new tactics, much like Verrückt, but I'm sorry, I don't think that's the case. I think Treyarch wanted a second map to coincide with Kino, but likely due to a lack of time or resources, they just turned the Pentagon into a zombies map and called it a day. This isn't a huge offense because this is still pretty early in the series, and a lot of the devs at Treyarch were still somewhat iffy on spending so much time on a goofy zombies mode. Plus, 5 is more of a hidden bonus as opposed to a big mainline map. But it doesn't change the fact that layout to 5 is absolutely atrocious and just does not work, with the only plus side being its verticality. See, like I briefly mentioned, 5 has multiple levels, with the main mode of transportation being the elevators. In public matches, or with friends, this can lead to some pretty fun chaos, and everyone has nostalgic memories of either leaving or being the one left by your friends on the elevator. As for presentation, I don't think I really need to bother. The Pentagon looks good and really faithful to a real-life Pentagon, but this is still a campaign level, so naturally there's not really a major focus on art direction like the previous discussed entries. But one thing I appreciate the devs for doing is still including an Easter egg song. Now they understandably probably couldn't or wasn't up to have Kevin Sherwood make 2 songs, but what they did have is a licensed song featured in the game be it instead. Eminem's Won't Back Down. If you've listened to Eminem before, you most likely have a good idea of how it sounds, but I unfortunately can't play an example due to copyright. Anyways, let's finally move on to the gameplay of the map. Like I said, this map is incredibly difficult, mostly due to the tight layout, but the accommodations we're all familiar with have returned. The perks, Juggernaut, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, and Double Tap have returned along with the Pack-a-Much machine, which this time can be activated by pushing several DEFCON switches. However, unlike Kino, there are some pretty unique aspects about 5. First, there's the Pentagon Thief. Instead of the usual Hellhound round, a mysterious man with the ability of teleportation will come after you and steal one of your weapons. Yeah, I'm not kidding, he boot gangs your shit and leaves. I used to hate this fucker, but after revisiting the map, I actually found him pretty bearable. He does steal one of your weapons, yes, but if you stay on his trail and rail into him, you not only get your weapon back, but also a max ammo and sometimes a fire cell, which makes the mystery box super cheap for a limited time. The key to dealing with the Pentagon Thief is to let him take your least powerful weapon, and then spray him with your stronger one. Even if you fail, at least he didn't take your most reliable gun. So yeah, I actually find this devious little weasel a pretty fun challenge. The second biggest new feature is in the form of a weapon, a wonder weapon named the Winter's Howl, a pistol that has a freezing effect on the undead, and it is utterly useless. I don't know how they turned a ice pistol into a joke, but most of the time this weapon would be completely ineffective. Its area of effect is bad and it takes forever to actually kill a zombie with it. Fun fact, it turns out the Thunder Gun was supposed to be the one weapon of 5. I know the Thunder Gun is a huge part of Kino's likability, but that weapon would be perfect for a map like this, given how cramped it is. The Winter's Howl, however, just isn't. As for the enemies you'll be fighting, you still have your typical zombies and overcrawlers from the last map. So yeah, just like Kino, there's not a terrible amount to talk about, but one aspect I will take the time to mention is 5 with friends. This map, if played alone, is miserable, but with friends, it's an entirely different experience. I know technically everything is more fun with friends, but especially so with 5. The chaos present in a solo match is still there, except it's a fun kind of chaos, and having 4 players have to share this cramped environment and look out for each other in it is just so much damn fun. Switching over to the story, this is definitely an interesting one. During a meeting between John F. Kennedy, Secretary McNamara, Fidel Castro, and Richard Nixon, zombies break into the US Pentagon, prompting our characters to act. And yeah, that's literally it. It makes sense considering the story to this map is completely isolated from the larger narrative involving our other characters in Samantha Max's. So I guess I can just go over the characters because there's not really a lot of story info present. First and everyone's favorite is John F. motherfucking Kennedy. Not only is playing as the 35th US president pretty appealing in its own right, but Kennedy was a pretty badass president in real life, and he's really cool here. Next is my personal favorite, Secretary McNamara. He's easily the most boring out of the 4, but that's kind of what I love about him. He's a straight man out of the group. A mundane secretary forced to step way out of his comfort zone to slaughter zombies, which gives him the biggest adrenaline rush of his life. Next is Fidel Castro, who's played off as another badass except the Russian one. Castro is alright, but there's personally something about playing as a character based on a real-life dictator responsible for the deaths and sufferings of millions that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Then after that is Richard Nixon, who's just depicted as a complete nutjob, and I love it.
Sounds like someone breaking in!
It's just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
And that was 5, and wow, what an interesting map indeed. I'll be real, I'm not too fond of 5. Its layout doesn't work, the wonder weapon sucks, and there's not a whole lot here. But that doesn't mean the map is completely irredeemable. Some of the ideas it tried were awesome, and with friends, it can be a lot of fun. So what is my final conclusion on 5? It's a mess, there's no denying that. But it's an accidentally fun mess under the right circumstances. The map is unforgivable when it comes to its challenging obstacles, but so is the community critiquing it, so it kinda balances out on both sides. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please like, subscribe, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Peace out.